Welcome back, guys. It is thrift flip time. Let's go ahead and get started. In today's video, we are going to be taking this super cute little storage bench that I picked up last fall. It's almost been a year that it's just been sitting in my room waiting for the perfect inspiration. And if you can't tell from the title of this video or from the all out, we are being inspired by Barbie. So we are going to go full pink, and I am so excited because I have had so many ideas for this little bench rattling around in my brain, and I haven't really landed on something. Nothing felt just right. And I decided to jump on this Barbie trend because it felt like the perfect inspiration to really turn this bench into something cute and fun and practical for someone's bedroom or little play space. So to get started, I had to pick a fabric. I'm going to be making a little small pillow top cover for the top of this. I needed to pick my paints, and I needed to pick up some wood and some of the batting to make the little storage pillow. So I went out, I picked my fabric first so that I could match my paints to it, and then I was ready to get started. Now this guy is in not great shape, so I'm going to start by cleaning it up and hitting it with some wood filler and sanding it really well. So I started with the wood filler. This is actually by MINWAX. It is a stainable filler, and it works really great, and it dries really hard. However, it ended up not being the best product for this. Those cracks are very deep, and I wanted a smoother look. So though I did fill the cracks with those very messily with my finger, I was trying to outrun a storm, and the heat outside is really bad right now. So I just put it in there with my finger real quick, wiped up any of the excess, and then once that was dry, I hit the entire thing with a sander to try to knock down any of those runs from the previous paint jobs that it's had. It looks like it's had multiple colors. It probably could use a good stripping, but that's not something we have time for right now. So I'm just gonna sand it down really good and get it fresh and ready to paint. So I'm gonna sand it down. I'm gonna hit it with just the shop vac to get any of those big excess pieces out. And then I'm gonna wipe it down really good with a baby wipe. I ended up taking this back inside. I moved my dining room table out of the way to give me a good workspace because it is too hot to be working outside right now. So I just put down piece of plastic and went to work. I'm going to start out with this color called Pink Posies maybe? Pink Posy. I'm not sure. It's right here. I actually picked up this color to do my daughter's accent wall in her room, and it's a very, very close to the color that's already on this. Now, I think it honestly might be the color because if you happen to have watch that video, you'll know that I had added more pink to that color to add a little more brightness and pink color to it. And it's just a little bit more pink than the color already on this bench. So it could have been an exact match straight from the store, but anyway, I'm going to use that to paint the inside and the bottom of this piece. I'm just going to go in with the brush and ended up doing 2 coats on both the inside and the bottom. And on the bottom, I'm going to add in this little tack because it is missing one of the feet from the bottom and it's a little wobbly, and we want to make sure we get that balanced out. So I just hit that in to give it ended up being the perfect height and just to give it some stability. Let that dry, and we're ready to go in with the next color. Now I did pick up some scuff resistant paint from there. It is also a Behr product, and I got it in, I believe, Beauty Queen. Again, right here on the screen you'll see it, so if I'm incorrect, I apologize. And I'm going to go in with a brush and with a roller on this. I'm going to give the entire thing a nice first coat, and I'm just going to tape off any areas where I do not want that darker pink to go. While that is drying, I'm going to start in on the pillow top. So I wanted to make sure that this was a cozy place to sit as well, and kind of to hide those hinges. So this was a handmade product, and it was somebody's loved one who made it for someone in their family. You can tell by all of the imperfections and the character that is built into it. I'm going to try my hardest not to take too much of that away, but also to make it look new and refreshed. So the top of this isn't perfect. It doesn't line up perfectly. The hinges are old and yucky. So yeah, they work just fine. I'm going to leave them, but I do want to kind of cover that up a little bit and just make it a little more comfortable. I picked up just a thin but sturdy piece of wood. I went ahead and got my measurements for the top, and I made it slightly smaller than it needed to be so that I knew that there would be room to wrap the fabric around. And I went ahead and cut that out on my table saw. So after I got that cut, I hit that with the same pink that is on the inside of this box and on the bottom, that Pink Posies, I think it is, and let that dry. Once I was ready, I took the batting that I picked up. I just went ahead and got the pre-cut stuff just to make it easier on myself, and I believe it's 1 inch thick. And I'm going to adhere that to that piece of wood just with some hot glue. I'm just doing this so that as I'm moving things around, it's not going to move on me, so that I can cut and fill in any spots that may not be covered. So to do this, I got my hot glue. I went ahead and just hot glued the one big piece, and then from there I was able to butt up any of the additional pieces, mark it with a Sharpie, and just cut it with my fabric scissors to get it down to the size that I need. I hot glued those on to complete the full piece of wood, and then I was ready to add my fabric. Now I had already cut my fabric down to size. I do have more than I need, so I was able to find this really cute fabric from Joann's. It has light pink, dark pink, and sparkles. Again, it needs to. It is Barbie themed and inspired. So we are going to add this to the top. The way I did this is I just kind of laid it down, wrapped it over to make sure there was excess, and from there I just cut away any of the extra that I didn't need, making sure I left more than I need on the piece just in case there were any areas in which I needed a little bit more. I'm going to be applying this with my stapler, and I'm just going to start from one side, and I'm going to kind of pull it, not super tight because it's the first one, but staple it down. Now you'll see me here, I am folding the fabric back. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to keep the fabric and I'm going to hot glue it over so it covers the staple so it looks more finished rather than just having those bare staples showing. So I'm going to get it where I want, fold it over and staple it in place, and I'm going to do one side and then I'm going to turn it and do the complete opposite side. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to make sure that it is stretched fully the length that is opposite, because it's going to hold it tight. That way there are no weird wrinkles building up whenever I go to do the opposite direction. Now the corners are a little bit tricky. I don't really know that I have a great way to tell you. The way that I did it is if you've ever folded a bed sheet at the end of the bed, where you kind of like, you pull it taut and you fold it up and then you tuck the material under and then you pull it around and under. I don't know if my hand gestures help at all, but that's how I tried to do this one. I just tried to make sure there were no wrinkles, that the fabric wasn't catching on itself, and then I put in some staples to hold that in place, and then I wanted to go ahead and hide those staples. So I'm going to cut away any of the excess from the corners, and then I'm going to start in the middle of one of my sides, and I'm just going to fold that fabric back over to cover those staples, and I'm just going to run some hot glue across that edge and put that down in place as neatly as possible. And then once I'm done with that, you'll see there's another flap now that I have created, and I'm going to run a bead of hot glue from there as well and secure that in place. Now this is an unnecessary step, but since I will be selling this piece, I want to make sure it looks as finished as possible, and this makes me sleep better at night. So I just repeated that process again, folding the fabric down over those staples with hot glue securing it in place, and then picking up that extra flap that I've now created and running hot glue around that too. On the corners, I just cut away excess fabric and then folded it down to look as neat as possible and hot glued that in place. This turned out super cute. I'm really happy that I went ahead to add this detail on, because I think it's going to really pull this piece together at the end of it. So I'm going to set that off to the side, and now I'm going to come back to the bench. Now I will say, I don't know if I mentioned it, I bought the fabric first so that I could match my paint to the fabric. I took the fabric into the store and matched all my color cards to see what best fit or what I liked with it the most. So if you're gonna do something similar to this, that is a suggestion that I'm gonna tell you. Buy your fabric first so that you can match your paint to it. It will go way smoother for you. I'm gonna come back in with a second coat, and at this point I'm noticing that I don't like how big these cracks still are in it, so I'm just gonna go back in with some all-purpose filler and fill in these cracks. I filled in the front and on the back. I'm just gonna wipe away any of the excess, and then I did go ahead and hit it with a light sanding. I don't think I took my camera out to film that, but you can see here there's just some cracks and crevices. And then when I took off the tape, I did notice that there were other parts that you can kind of see through the top since it doesn't sit perfectly. So I went ahead and painted those the dark pink as well. So I ended up doing a total of 3 coats on this just to make sure it's nice and coated and covered. And I think she's looking really, really good. I'm so excited for how this is turning out. It's very bright, it's very pink, but it's very Barbie. So it was kind of hard for me to lean in at first to fully go there because I'm honestly not a big pink person, but super, super stoked with how this turned out. I did go with a good semi-gloss. That way it's nice and bright and shiny, kind of give that like plastic Barbie feel. And then I'm just gonna add that topper on once it dries. I would love to know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. What would you have done different? Does it give you that Barbie vibe, or did I have to tell you what the inspiration was for you to notice? I love hearing from you guys. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new here. I would love to have you with me on my crafting journey. Join the Facebook page if you want to share some of your projects. I'm going to take you in for a closer look, and I'll see you next time.